Let's talk about creative volume for Meta ads. So as you guys know, Meta's Andromeda update has been the talk of the town for the last several weeks, sparking a lot of debates around creative volume, creative diversity, and how to scale. And in this video, I want to give my perspective on creative volume, share my mindset and structure, and generally just the way that I'm thinking about things. I think you're going to find a lot of value in this video, so let's get into it. All right, so first, what is creative volume? What does that even mean? Well, to me, that means basically giving the machine or the algorithm a lot of diverse assets or ads to work with. So essentially making more ads, that's it. Now, let's see what Meta's perspective is on this, and then I'll give you mine. Okay, these slides that I'm about to show are from Meta. However, I saw them on the recent Meta ads debate on Twitter with Jordan and Charlie, which I found to be extremely interesting. So take a look. It says, what is Creative Machine and how does it power down funnel performance? So number one, it's creative diversification. So visually diverse assets built to reach new audiences. Number two is creative volume, more assets in Ads Manager to feed the demands of delivery. It says minimum 20 plus assets in an ASC campaign. And then number three is creative refresh, bringing new assets to platform to keep campaigns healthy with the goal of being low fatigue. So I guess these are the three reasons why we need creative volume, right? The first one is Meta is basically telling us that if we have ads that are visually similar, Meta's going to lump them together in the auction and basically start showing them to the same people over and over. And that's a problem. We're not going to be able to reach new audiences. So that's why we need just completely different messaging, different creative formats, and different angles, different personas, all that stuff that we've talked about in previous videos. Now, when it comes to creative volume, their premise is you're giving Meta's algorithm more ammo, for lack of better words, to find your target audience, right? The more assets you give it, the more chances it has to put the ads in front of people that are likely to buy, basically. And number three is creative refresh, which means Meta is basically stating that ads are fatiguing faster than ever before, and it's up to us to feed the machine, to keep the assets fresh. And this was a huge learning for me. My stance on creative fatigue has been essentially just focus on the results. As long as the results are there, I'm not concerned about creative fatigue. I'm not really looking at the frequency number and stuff like that. But I used to be under the impression that creative fatigue was that people were getting tired of the ad, like they didn't like seeing it so much. And I've recently realized that that was the wrong way of thinking about it. It's not about the people. It's about the machine. So, I studied all the traditional copywriting books that are out there, including Ogilvy on advertising. And Ogilvy says that, a lot of ad campaigns are cut prematurely. Like they could have run for much longer. And so I was always of the impression that if it's a good ad and it's a true winner, then it can last for a very long time. And, I do believe this is true. I've personally had ads run for a full year plus profitably at decently high spends. Now, the important thing to consider here is not that people are getting tired of the ads, it's that the machine is getting tired of the ads. Remember what Meta cares about. Meta cares about giving the users a good experience on the platform. So if it perceives that your ad is low quality, it's getting bad signals, you're getting bad feedback, or it's just being shown to the same people over and over again, Meta is going to fatigue your ad. The algorithm is going to start to downrank your ad in the auction, and it's going to basically start giving you higher CPMs, less efficient CPAs. I mean, it's going to basically just start giving you worse performance until ultimately you refresh that. So that's been a huge learning for me recently about just how the algorithm works. I always thought it was about the people getting tired of the ads, but really it's about Meta. They just care about monthly active users on their apps. So, if you strike that balance between an ad that Meta likes, the algorithm likes, and that people like or finding value, that's when you find that true winner, and that allows you to basically run an ad profitably for a very long time. That's like those like big winners that we are always looking for. So let's look at a couple more slides from Meta here. Talked about creative diversity. So this one's really interesting. It says creative volume is key to creative effectiveness. It says volume is more important than ever. Meta's Andromeda, our next-gen ads retrieval system, is designed to improve results for advertisers with a high volume of diverse assets. You can't scale budgets without scaling volume. That's very interesting. As performance improves and budgets scale, creative volume fuels delivery. So for me, this is, I mean, Meta's basically telling us, hey, we're going to reward you if you give us a lot of assets to work with. Couldn't be more clear. It says, new assets are key to maintaining efficiency. A test and learn mindset is mandatory. Ads are fatiguing faster than ever. Remember, the machine is fatiguing them. Refreshing campaigns with new creative is best practice for performance. Creative testing is equal parts art and science. Leverage our testing frameworks to uncover new winners. Okay, great. And then I found this slide to be kind of interesting. It says, iterating on the same inputs will take you very far. And then it says, iterating on the same inputs will only take you so far. So that's basically Meta saying, hey, you're going to have to feed the machine, right? Cool. That's everything I wanted to show from Meta's perspective. So that's what Meta's telling us, right? So essentially, Meta's perspective is that it wants more creative assets to feed the machine, okay? Now, here's my perspective. I basically agree. I think that Meta does need a lot of volume of creatives to be successful. Obviously, they're telling us that, but also just anecdotally from my own experience running ads for many, many businesses, the biggest ones, the most successful ones, the ones that were able to spend several $100,000 per month on ads, they were consistently pumping out creatives. Okay, so it's no coincidence that definitely part of the reason why they were working. Now, why do we need so many creatives? Well, I think, frankly, it's because most of the creatives that you make aren't going to be winners. They're not going to resonate. They're not that good, if we're being completely honest, right? And it takes a lot of time, repetition, testing to find those winners, right? And, it's my perspective that businesses find a handful of winners per year, right? So they're testing hundreds, if not thousands of ads per year. And maybe they find a handful of winners, maybe 10, 20, 25 winners, per year. If we're talking about big scale businesses, right? Small businesses, you might find 1 to 5 winners per year if you're being consistent. Okay. So it's my perspective that quantity brings quality. So the more quantity that you're putting into the system, you're really listening to your customers. There's no doubt that you're going to find some winners. So with that, I think it's essential that you have some sort of system or flow to achieve this, right? Like you can't just, be pumping out 10, 20, 50, 100 creatives a week and not have some sort of organization, some sort of system. So that's why it's so important that you're basically having a system to test things effectively inside of your ads manager. You have everything labeled super clearly. You are prioritizing the different angles and personas and headlines and hooks that you want to test. And you are keeping track of what's winning and what's losing inside of your ad account. So it's pretty essential to start getting organized. So if you're not organized in your ads manager now, it's time to get organized. So one system that I found that works extremely well is going from organic to paid media. So basically, the business owners that are consistently publishing reels, for example, they will use trial reels, right, which pushes out to completely new audiences. And then they will publish it to their organic following on Instagram. And then if those pieces of content do well, then we publish them as ads. And of course they're going to do well. They've proven to do well in organic, so they tend to do well as ads as well. So that's a really, really effective way to test messaging, to test hooks, to test angles organically without having to spend money. You're getting kind of free eyeballs. You're also getting like free exposure, right? Remember we talked about how each time you put a piece of organic content out there, it's like putting a hook. Imagine you're fishing, right? It's just a different hook in the ocean, right? What's the very next thing somebody's going to see after they engage with one of your organic pieces of content? It's going to be your ads. So each time you post a piece of organic content, it's like a free hook, right? So that is something that I'm doing with some of my clients, and it's working really, really well. Aside from that, now like technically inside of the ads manager, I'm basically testing in two ways. The first way is a ABO testing campaign. I will make one, per product line, or basically I organize it however it makes sense. I might just have one testing ABO campaign, or maybe if I need to separate it by like major product or service or location or something like that, I might have multiple ABOs for each one of those things. But essentially, let's just imagine there's one. It'll be one ABO campaign. Each new ad set is a test. I tend to do 3 to 5 ads, but now I'm starting to experiment with 8 to 10 ads. And essentially, if it works, I keep it. I test at appropriate budgets, enough so that I can reasonably expect to get 1 to 2 sales per day. And yeah, essentially, I keep it if it works. I will downscale it or optimize it or close it if it doesn't work. And essentially, 2 or 3 days later, or maybe 5 days later, depending on the situation, I will launch my next ad set, which is going to be another test. And again, appropriate budgets, 3 to 10 ads basically. And I'm grouping these ad sets by angle or offer or persona. That's generally how I'm doing it. I'm still splitting off like statics and videos. For the most part, if I have a smaller budget, I might just put them all together so that I'm not splitting up my small budget. But that's essentially what I'm doing. And it's working quite well for me. My goal is to try to stack up winners, right? So keep the ad sets that work, close the ad sets that don't. If the ad sets that are working are like doing really well, I might scale them in place, vertically scale them in place. And then if they're super proven, they have a ton of spend through them, their post IDs are extremely strong, a lot of engagement, I might take those out and put them to cost caps, bid caps, some other strategies to scale them a little bit further, right? So that's essentially what I'm doing. So on the ABO side, right? If I do CBOs, I essentially treat each new CBO as a test. So I'll do either single ad set CBOs with 3 to 10 creatives, or multi-ad set CBOs if I have bigger budgets, 3 to 10 creatives. The only difference here is that each new campaign is a test. I'm never adding new ad sets inside of a active CBO, and I'm never adding new ads inside of active ad sets, either CBO or ABO. The only time I might add new ads into an existing ABO or CBO ad set is if it's doing terribly and I'm trying to just like collect conversion data inside the same ad set and nothing else is working, right? I might do that. But as a general rule of thumb, I try to not add new things into things that are working, because number one, it's not a fair test to the thing that you're putting in, right? Meta may not give it spend. And then number two, you are very likely to throw off the results of what's working. So that's obviously a problem as well. So yeah, with CBOs, I'm basically doing, one ad set, one campaign, one ad set, 3 to 10 ads, and it's just a new campaign each time for a test. Or I might do multi-ad set CBOs where, let's say I'm grouping angles, offers, or creative formats by ad set, and then letting Meta's algorithm decide inside of the CBO which one is the winner. But that's essentially how I'm doing it. New campaign every test rather. So, and again, I scale things in place. I'm not doing this like graduation stuff where, I do like a $5 little budget over here and it gives me good signals, good click-through rate or high ROAS, and then I try to take it to $100 a day or something like that. Like, I don't do that. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. So anyways, that's the way that I'm testing things. I'm personally trying to commit to launching a set number of ads per client per week if possible. And yeah, guys, I'm trying to appease the machine. I'm trying to give it what it wants. One nuance that I want to talk about, which is putting 20 ads inside of an ad set. I do have a little bit of an issue with it because on one hand, yes, you might be able to find one winner, but if you've noticed, it skews the spend towards like 1 to 2 ads a lot of the time. It doesn't always do it, but very frequently. And so, I'm of the opinion that let's say there was 20, those other 18 ads, I don't believe that those are necessarily bad per se. I think that if you were to force those to have spend on their own, they could potentially work, So, I've just seen it too many times where Meta skews the spend towards the wrong thing and you force something else to get spend and it actually works even better than the original campaign. I've seen it. I've shown it on my channel several times. I've just experienced that a lot of times, right? If Meta's algorithm was right 100% of the time, my job wouldn't exist, okay? Let's just put it that way. So the thing about having 20 ads inside of an ad set is like, you're gonna have so many ads that are untested, right? In my opinion, untested. They got 2 cents of spend, 20 cents of spend. Like, I don't think that's statistically significant enough to make a judgment on it. Like, we can't even sort by amount spent right now. We've had like 500 outages this year. I'm exaggerating, but we've had a lot of outages this year. Like, I don't trust the algorithm 100%. I'm sorry. Like, sue me, right? It's just from experience, you know, like I don't think it's always right. So that's why I'm a little hesitant of adding so many creatives inside of an ad set. I think it's a double-edged sword, right? Like, you're giving it more chance to succeed on one hand, but then you're also like going to have a lot of waste, right? So that's why I try to strike this middle ground. I used to say 3 to 5. Now I'm doing like 3 to 10 creatives. I'm seeing good results with 10 creatives. You know, I am seeing a lot of ads get like that aren't getting spend, and I'm forcing them to get spend in other campaigns or ad sets, and they tend to work. So that's the way that I think about it. Anyways, this video is getting long. Super interesting topic. I really appreciate you watching, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. All right, you guys, that's it for today's video. I really appreciate you watching. Just a few quick updates on my school community. The price of the group is going up. So if you've been on the fence about joining the group, now is the time to join so that you get locked in at the lowest rate that we're ever gonna have. I'm also working on a brand new course that is gonna be released before the end of the year, where I outline my entire market research, creative strategy, and ad creation process from A to Z. This is not only gonna speed up your process to creating ads, but is also going to improve your hit rate so that you find more winners consistently. This is the process that I've used for me and my clients for the last several years, and I've refined it to the point where I'm ready to start sharing it with others. So if that interests you, jump in the group. We have a 7-day free trial, and I'll see you inside. Thank you so much. Take care.